All right, everyone, welcome to Missionaries, Moms, and Mondays. This is our support interview for episode 2, where we discuss Maslow's and the idea behind meeting our physiological needs and establishing some safety. And I'm really excited to dig into this a little bit deeper with Amy. Amy is a dear friend of mine. She was part of the core group of people that helped to create this framework, put this curriculum into action. She does more with her time than any single human being on the face of the planet. So excited to have you, Amy. Thank you for joining us. Will you give everybody a little introduction about who you are?
People are my passion. I have been engaged in working with people and helping them maximize their story and get what they really want for a really long time. And mother of four, they're getting close to this missionary age and seeing all of the different shifts and changes in this world. So excited to be here for this conversation.
Yeah, and when you've worked with about as many missionaries as I have, maybe more over time, I mean, between the two of us, it's a large list, right? And in
Mhm.
this, you've had multiple experiences with this exact same thing where we run into these physiological needs that aren't being met. There's some safety that's getting involved, and it's really rocking. And most
Yeah.
people are identifying this as I have emotional distress. I have anxiety. My stomach is churning and I'm getting hot all the time and I'm sweating and my heart's racing. And they're
Mhm.
describing it like this, which is, I think, one of the reasons maybe why we never get to the root of the issue.
Yeah, and they think there's something wrong with them, right? And they start to just these mind games to start playing, and they just don't end for them. And so, I think we cannot undersell the importance here of Maslow's. You can't outrun it. I don't care how talented you are, or how good you are, and all the other things in life. If we're not sleeping and we're not taking care of our physiological needs, we won't feel safe. And if we don't feel safe, then we're never going to feel like we belong anywhere, including in our own body sometimes, right? And we're not going to be able to feel like we're achieving what we really want. We're getting the things that we really wanted in the first place. And it's so much more than just checking the box. And with the missionaries, I think this is so important because it's not like check I have an apartment, check I have a bed. I
Right.
mean, the mission does that. The mission says, okay, here, I'm going to give you a place to live, and they help you find that place. But it's, do I feel both physically and emotionally safe with my sleeping arrangements, right? I have bugs flying around me all day long, and I can't sleep at night because I'm afraid I'm gonna get bit all night long. So I've got a bed, check. I've got an apartment, check, and I'm not sleeping. It's not emotionally safe. I think it's so important to understand that we can say, I have a bed and it's not safe, and I'm not sleeping, and it's impacting the work, and it's making me feel crazy.
And don't you think it's interesting that our missionaries don't get on the phone with us on Monday and say, I have this problem because I'm not sleeping at night because there's bugs. They get on the phone on
Yep.
Monday and they're like, I am full of anxiety. I have no idea what I'm doing out here. I feel like I'm going to lose my mind. My stomach's churning all the time. My head hurts. I don't think I can handle this anymore. What would your counsel be to us moms who our kids are getting on the phone like this? How do we actually identify if it's one of these physiological needs or a disruption in safety? What's your counsel to help identify some of these things?
I think we have to get really curious. Don't make any assumptions that you understand what's really going on. Like, do not like prejudge the situation, right? Get in there with a lot of curiosity questions of, hey, talk to me about how you're sleeping. What's that look like? You able to stay asleep all night long? You waking up at all? Is there anything you're afraid of at night? Like, come in with the questions to find out if they're actually sleeping and ask them, do you feel safe? Like, I worked with another missionary who had never slept in the same room with somebody else, and so being in the bedroom with a companion, they were worried they were snoring too loud, and they were worried that they were breathing too loud. So they would wait till their companion fell asleep, but then they were so anxious that they couldn't get to sleep all night long just because they were worried that somebody else would hear them sleeping.
Yeah,
And it seems so crazy, but it's simple.
we had one sister who was like, I get so tense at night because I can't move. Like, why can't you move? And she goes, because if I move, my companion's a light sleeper. I keep waking her up and then I feel bad all night long. And so she was so anxious about moving in her sleep that she would get super tense and then wake up just carrying all of that with her the next day.
Yeah, just ache all day long
Hmm.
and feeling like you're never rested ever. And
Yeah.
all
So
of that adds up.
yeah. So if you had to give, like, let's say you had to give parents a starting point, there's no right or wrong answers here in terms of what are the questions to ask. Just get curious. Give me 5 examples of questions I could potentially ask that would address physiological needs that just might help get the conversation started so I can figure out where to go from there.
Let's say you want to check in on sleep, on food, on hydration, sunlight, movement. So I would for sure be asking, how sleep is going. And then I would be asking what the eating situation's looking like. Like, hey, you getting a good breakfast in the morning? What do the meals look like, in the members' homes? And when you're out and about, are you able to eat food and feel safe about eating what you're getting? I would find out if they're getting outside and they're getting any sun. Sometimes they have various situations where they're with their companion, somebody's maybe on a medical situation or something, and they haven't left the apartment in days. They have not had any sunshine, any fresh air. So finding out, like, are they getting out and getting any of that? And are they hydrating? Are they drinking? Like, they're working a lot more than they're used to. And sometimes we I'd say all the time, we underestimate the amount of mental capacity that it takes to do what we do in this emotional work. And so making sure they're eating and they're drinking both, and that they're utilizing them. Because sometimes we can check the box again. We can check the box and be like, yes, I bought water bottles. Yes, I carry them with me all day. And then you can ask them, like, are you drinking them? Because
Mhm.
half the time we have the stuff, but we don't drink it. Or we pack a
Right.
snack, but we get back home and we didn't eat it. And we get home really, really late and we just go to bed because it's too late and we don't want to make something. And so we just go to bed hungry. But then that's going to have the domino effect going on. So I would find out if not only they have it, but how they're using it. And
Yeah.
just find out, get a lay of the land on just the basics of hydration, food, sunlight, sleep.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that so frequently, to your point, maybe they have it, they're not using it. I worked with a sister who was very worried because she was gaining weight on her mission. She started eating just really tiny quantities.
Mm.
And then because she was eating tiny quantities, she wasn't buying as much food. Well, then she would get really, really hungry at night and there was no food in the apartment. All of a sudden she knows, oh, I need food. I need to fuel myself and I don't have any. And so again, it's that whole thing. They need to have it, they need to use it. And it's not just check the box that I have it. It's do I have it? Can I use it? And is it safe for me?
Oftentimes they go to, these other countries where the food isn't what they're used to, so they don't know how to cook it. Sometimes they even, like, they'll have members bring the groceries over, they'll have this food and they have absolutely no idea how to cook that or eat that. And so then it feels unsafe. They don't even know how to go to the grocery store and read the labels to find something they know how to cook. And so getting some education in there, have a member come show you how to use what is available in their country.
Yeah, I had one mom who she got really creative in the space. That was the problem with her son is that they had a situation where members were bringing them food, but they didn't know how to make it or cook it. And on one of his Monday calls, they put the messenger on FaceTime and she watched in the kitchen and provided instruction from a distance to this young elder on how to cook the food and what he could do to season it differently to make it palatable for him. And it created a really cool experience where she was able to be extremely helpful and it totally calmed him down. But it was that same thing. He had
Mhm.
it. He just couldn't use it. There was no safety there for him because there was a
Yeah.
lack of knowledge. Yeah, very
Yeah.
important. I know we as moms, oh man, we're trying so hard. We love our missionaries. We know that God loves his missionaries and we have faith that these kids are going to pull through. So much faith. And we love faith and miracles. And what else do we need to know, Amy?
You can't outpray Maslow's. You
Mm,
can't outwork Maslow's. It's not a worthiness thing, and it's not a I'm not good enough. Like, you must care for your basic needs. You can't outrun it. And we want to, like, jump clear up that pyramid, right? And say, like, oh, just pray more and write more about being a great missionary and get involved in the culture. And we want to spend more time with the people to try to make it better. We want to try to make ourselves feel better and whatnot. No, we have to actually go down to the bottom two rungs. I mean, 98% of the time when we are not getting the results we want, the problem is in those bottom two layers of Maslow's. Every time. Every time. And so, like, down to laundry, do you have the clothes so that you feel good when you're out and about? Like, can't are you eating the food? Are you drinking? Like, come back to the basics. It's about the basics. And we can pray for insights about how to create physical and emotional safety and get inspiration about that for sure. And
mhm.
we can't just pray it away. We must
Right.
do something physically about the physiological needs we as human beings have.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I love the word "and" because it creates a connection. And I think in this space, it's so important we get these young sisters and elders who are experiencing all of this emotional distress, this disruption and dysregulation. And man, we're praying our little mama hearts out. And at the end of the day, what's really cool about Maslow's is it gives us a framework of tangible, real, actionable solutions that we can engage with. And it's not a matter of stop praying and doing this. It's a matter of pray for inspiration of which one of these things we can take action in, and then allow the miracles to come that are necessary. It reminds me of the story of the man who gets trapped on a roof and he prays to God for a miracle, and the neighbor shows up and with a ladder and he says, I can get you down from this roof. And he says, nope,
Mhm.
I prayed and God will save me. And another person comes by and they are in an airplane and they drop a ladder down, say, we'll take you off this way. We can get you off this roof. And he says, nope, I prayed and God will provide the miracle. And it's like, do you not see that these are the miracles? Like, I think it's really important that we recognize these layers of human motivation are how we were built. And if God designed us to operate in this capacity, then these are the answers that God put into our lives to also help us to overcome these challenges. And it's so important that we recognize that we were sent here to act, not to be acted upon. And these are opportunities for us to take some very simple, very tangible, very calculated actions that can make a huge difference. What are some of the differences that you've seen with people as they've engaged in some of these tools and resources? What have you seen the outcomes to be, even on the emotional side, even though this sounds like such a physical fix?
Well, it changes everything. I know in my own life as a mom, if I am cranky if I don't sleep, like I am not the same person when I'm not taking care of myself. I can see it in my own life. And just these simple shifts, these simple fixes, they change everything because they're what fuel all the power that we have within us. We're able to recognize the spirit more when we're not sleep deprived. When we have the nutrition, we have the energy to go do and knock one more door and, you know, push through a long day. If we're not fueling the body, we're exhausted, not just mentally, but physically, but it impacts the whole, right? And I think, I mean, very few teenagers in this world are great at Maslow's. I mean, they eat like crap. Like,
Right,
right?
Amy?
Right. He like you're eating chips and candy bars and soda and they're just on the go and the pizza nonstop. Many of them have never been educated on this. They've
Right.
never been educated on it. And they don't even know what they're missing. And that may have worked with their old patterns of but they are learning and working and praying and stressing about the people they're trying to love so much that the output now is higher than it was before. And what used to work isn't going to work as much. And I think, honestly, if we just look at it and say, you know what, maybe I didn't teach them that. Maybe I really didn't put some emphasis on like taking care of our Maslows because I didn't understand it myself. And now that I understand it, some basic education empowers me to go out and fuel my body so that I can take care of my spirit and the people I love and do what I came here to do in the first place. And I just think I don't know any teenager out there that's great at this.
Right.
And unless they have been like maybe they've been really heavily involved in athletics and they've been taught about macros and some stuff, get your protein in and hydrate, but even then it's not the same. And just some basic education goes a long way.
This is the judgment free zone. This is where we
Yeah.
all stop and say, okay, yeah, you're right. I didn't teach my kids this because I didn't know it. And the reality is, most moms we get the opportunity to work with, they
Yeah.
see this and it's like a revelation, not because innately and intuitively we didn't understand it. We can all understand that sleep affects my emotions. We can understand
Yeah.
that hunger affects my emotions. We can understand that being trapped inside affects me. Lack of movement affects me. We've just never really put it together in a framework that actually makes it digestible, actionable, deductible,
Hmm.
questions that can really be asked to solve problems. And I think when we put it to work in our own life, it makes a difference. As we finish up here, Amy, what would be your counsel to moms in terms of helping themselves understand this so that they're able to more adequately use this framework with their missionaries?
Oh man, unless we're truly living it, we never really have the ability to help those that we love. Like we can do our best, right? We can read a book and we can say, "Hey, I read this and try this." And when we have lived it, then we can help. We can see it. We can see it in others. And so I would say dive in and experiment with yourself. What are your own physiological needs? Do you have safety around them? And if not, start establishing them and seeing what shifts you see. Because as you share your experience of your own engagement with this, your missionary is going to be so much more likely to say, well, my mom tried this and it worked for her. Maybe it will work for me. And so I would say get in and actually assess your own Maslow's. Make a 1 degree improvement somewhere with your own and talk about that. Give your own testimony of your own personal application with the tool, and that's going to have just miles of impact.
And that is exactly how our missionary program is modeled. Gain your own testimony, share it with somebody else. All
Yep.
right, Amy, we're so grateful you'd spend some time and just help bring clarity to this. Any final thoughts here as we close this out?
Just dive in and go to the Lord. He's going to help you know what questions to ask your missionary. He's a part of this. Co-parent with him. I just think we underestimate sometimes the ability to just get on our knees and to pray for ministering angels. I think that's so important in this of like that's part of the help we can receive in this is we can say, hey, inspire them with what to buy, inspire them, like show up and help them see the possibilities around them. We don't have to do this alone. And I think that's just the hope here is we're not doing this alone. We're a part of a huge army of people standing ready and we have to ask. We have to ask for the help and we have to just do the work and we will see the results of that.
Yeah, I love that. It is the reason why I'm so passionate about what we're doing here with Missionaries Moms and Mondays is that I see these powerful women are an army of angels.
Mm-hmm.
It takes an army. We've talked about it takes a village, right?
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
this army of angels that are both earthly and not of this earth that show up in these moments. I find it easier for me personally to go to the Lord to seek revelation when I can go there with a framework, meaning I can go there with a starting place and say, okay,
Yep.
Heavenly Father, my son's needs aren't being met. He can't sleep at night. And help me to know what questions to ask to identify the problem. Help me to know what solutions to
Yep.
come up with. We've tried this, and this. Nothing's working.
Yep.
Help us to find a creative solution. When we get specific, I feel like it's so much easier to get that direct inspiration, that little thought. We just had this show up the other day where we had a similar situation where an elder just could not sleep, and one person made a phone call and he was talking to him and he made a joke about not being able to sleep and said, and then I changed this and everything works now. And that elder was sitting there and he was like, I haven't tried that. Changed that one thing, slept all night long. And it was so fun. It was like, where did that phone call come from? Came from there because a mama was praying
Yep.
for it, right? So,
Absolutely.
all right. Well, thank you, Amy, so much. And I hope you guys are learning again the idea behind this curiosity, not judgment, and just find one thing that helps you know what you can do.